Okay, so now we will be discussing about that why many a times your own body's antigen can behave abruptly. Okay, so what happens? We already understood these cases that in order to act like an antigen, the protein should have certain identification marks, which will essentially help the protein to bind with the MHC molecules on the surface of the lymphocytes, and eventually it will start producing memory T cells or memory B cells. Memory T cells will be produced in case of what you call cell mediated immune response, when the antigen is either viral or cancerous. In the contrary, if there are bacterial antigens, then what will happen is it will initiate the response of B lymphocytes, which is mediated by MHC2 molecules. Okay, and in both the cases, if it is a bacterial antigen, it should able to produce memory B lymphocytes, and if it is a viral antigen or a cancer antigen, it should able to produce memory T lymphocytes. Okay, so memory cells are very important in order to become a true what you call vaccine-like entity. So now we will discuss about why many a times our own antigen can behave like a our own proteins can behave like a foreign antigen, which may lead to different abnormalities. So consider that we are discussing a hypothetical condition where your insulin receptor is this. Okay, so it is present on the surface of a cell, which is, let us say, hepatocytes or liver cells. So on the surface of the hepatocytes there are insulin receptors, and whenever an insulin, the green one is the insulin. So whenever an insulin binds with the insulin receptor, it initiates a process which is called G protein coupled process or secondary messenger based events. So when they initiate, they are able to open a channel, a protein channel, which is present on the surface of the hepatocytes. That is a what we call GLUT channel or glucose transporter channel. This is the glucose transporter channel. Now the role of the glucose transporter channel is this: it will help to enter glucose molecules from the plasma to the hepatocytes, so that metabolism can take place. But this GLUT channel can only be opened when insulin has bound with its receptor. Okay, and which will eventually start the secondary messenger based event, and it will lead to opening of the GLUT channel. But many a times, so the GLUT channel will be opened. But many a times what happens, the insulin receptor itself is not able to function because of, as you can see here, the insulin receptor has went away. See, so when insulin receptor itself is not there, insulin is not able to bind, and the G protein cascade or the secondary messenger based reaction cannot able to open the GLUT channel. Okay, so GLUT channel is closed. So what would happen? So glucose will accumulate in the plasma, and it will try to come out from the urine, leading to glycosuria and the other cases of insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. Now why it is insulin dependent diabetes mellitus? Because if we add, because the insulin is not able to function here properly. Okay, and it will lead to glycosuria, microvascular complications, glycosylation of basement membrane proteins of the kidney, which will ultimately lead to renal failure. Very dangerous case. Okay, so why this is happening? Because the anti-insulin antibody or anti-insulin receptor antibody has been formed, and it has destroyed the insulin receptor to act in a proper way. And therefore, insulin dependent diabetes mellitus can also be termed as an autoimmune disease. So autoimmune disease is a disease where your own antigens will behave like a foreign antigen, and immune response will start against it. Some other autoimmune diseases are also in the body, which are, for example, SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus, multiple sclerosis, and rheumatic arthritis. Okay. Now why this autoimmune disease takes place? Autoimmune disease takes place because there is an event called self non-self recognition, which is taking place inside the thymus during the early age. Many a times, if this event is not perfect, then what would happen? This kind of what we call autoimmune diseases can take place in the human body. Okay.